Okay, seriously. Because here's the deal, it's our nature. Listen, life is not how you act, it's how you react, it's how you respond. All right? Old lady going down the road just 15 minutes ago. All right? I got to get here at 1 o'clock. It becomes about me. So what do you think my thoughts are? Lady, you need to get out of the way because it becomes about me. And I got to get somewhere. Okay? And life is not how you act, it's how you react. It's how you respond. Listen, today, how you respond is really, really important to this process. Okay? How you respond to what I've got to say to you today is really going to be a true test to your character. All right? And that tells them, watch this, you guys have got to learn how to encourage one another. Okay? We're teammates, right, Coach? We're teammates. If you have a teammate, you need to encourage that teammate. Am I not right? Okay, so what are you going to do this time? All right, that's good. I like that. All right, here we go. Wow. Each and every one of you, everybody look at me, watch, have been given the ability in some form or fashion in a sport. Don't take it for granted. Listen, don't take it for granted. Be committed to it. Be committed to it. Hey, if you don't want to play, like my dad told me, he said, son, you want to play basketball? I said, yeah, I want to play basketball. He says, well, you go out to be the best you could possibly be and be committed to it. The second thing I want to do is accountability. Here's the deal. A lot of us are not held accountable for the things that we do. If we were held accountable for the things that we do, some of the troubles we have, we wouldn't have. And so you have to be held accountable. So listen, at the end of the day, when you leave here today and you say, you know what, I'm going to be on that team of righteous, I'm going to do the right thing, and you're on that team, you got to be held accountable to it. Hey, maybe you don't want to be held accountable. You know why? Because you don't want to be righteous. You don't want to do the right thing. But if you're going to be righteous, you got to be held accountable to it. Are y'all listening to me today? You got to be held accountable to it. You know what I think? I think we have men in here with the gumption enough to say, you know what? Today, I'm going to be held accountable to doing what's right. And I'm going to be committed to do the things which are right. And I'm going to believe not just in each other, in myself, but I'm going to have the belief and faith to do the right thing in my life. When you go home, listen, I truly believe, Coach Mitchell, I truly believe that there are people in here right now that when you go home, and you can look at your parents or you can look at the people that take care of you, and you can truly say that you love them and you care for them and really, really mean it. I truly believe that when you walk the halls of these schools, when you come back to school, I truly believe, watch, that there are men in this room that will do the right thing in their lives when all their friends are doing wrong. You choose to stay focused. Here's the deal, everybody look at me, watch. How many of you would have the guts today to stand up and say, you know what, Mr. Eubanks, I'm going to choose today to do what's right. If you're that way, go ahead and stand up. If you're not, just stay seated. I ain't mad at you.
And I think about that sort of stuff because it's the way you grow up. See, y'all, and I watch people, I study people, I watch the way you look back at me, I look back at you. You're a product of how you grew up and the things that are said to you. I wasn't even born in this country. I was born in Germany. I came to this country when I was a little kid as immigrants with my parents. I couldn't even speak English. I remember they took me to school when I was a little kid when we came to this country, and I thought kids at school would be laughing at me, all of them, because I couldn't speak English. But they're not laughing anymore. So your life is full of choices, and I made choices. My dad never played sports. We came from Germany. Watch, first football game he ever saw. We saw the Green Bay Packers on television, a little black and white set. My dad turned to me and he said, "Man," he said to me, "They're killing themselves over one ball. Why don't they just give them each one and send them home if that's what they want to do?" That's the way he perceived sports. And we watched the NFL draft last night. I've been at the drafts and all that stuff. It's like, man, you are God. You are walking in, strutting in, showing off your coat and all that sort of stuff. It's all choices in life. Titans picked a guy last night who had something happen to him. Did you notice what he got picked? Did they ever show a highlight of him? No. What they did was talk about what he had done at one moment, one instant in his life when he was a high school kid, on that one thing, and that's all they talked about. Now, we have to forgive him. Could have judged. Let me see what it's like. And you don't think those Titans, I know John Robinson, the general manager of the Titans. I know that he studied this kid and talked to him. I know Robinson is a man of character. One decision, one moment in time dictate this kid, and he's going to have to spend the rest of his life explaining what he did that one moment. And so will you. Every phone that you've got, everything that's on it, people, anything that you do, you all pop it out, get video, got it right there. You're laughing, see what you do, you get mad in 1 second, see it's right here, got it for you. See what you did? It'll follow you the rest of your life. And the reason I say that to you is because now that I've retired and what I do for work, I go to the prison 4 days a week. Riverbend maximum security prison. I even work with men on death row. One of the men I talk to every single week is scheduled to be executed on May the 10th of this year. How'd you like to know the day you're going to die? May the 10th is his day. One instant, one anger, one moment, shot a person, and has been in jail for 32 years, and he's going to die on May the 10th. I know it's a long time ago, but if you follow basketball, you know who Michael Jordan is? Everybody, I'm sure, still considered maybe the greatest basketball player of all time. He won 3 NBA championships. And all of a sudden, at the age of 30, he said to himself, I'm going to retire. I'm going to play baseball. What? Play baseball? And he got into AA ball, played for the Birmingham Barons. They came to Nashville to play a team that we had at our stadium. We have 2 teams for a while, one called the Nashville Express. So there's a game. Michael Jordan's coming in to play with them against 10,000 people showed up. I got permission to sit in the dugout. Here's Michael Jordan, here's me. I said, I won't say anything to him, but I got a cameraman over here. I'd like for him to shoot the game, shoot Michael, get this sort of stuff. They let me. I don't know why. I'm sitting next to Michael Jordan. He'd get up, walk by me, go up the steps to get out of the dugout. Kids would be trying to pull his hat off his head and grab him. Man, give me an autograph in the middle of the game. They're all over Michael Jordan. He's playing ball. So I watch. In the game, he gets one little dude. He strikes out once. He gets a little ground ball to second baseman. He gets a pop fly out to the right field. Doesn't do anything. But makes a catch in right field where he was playing. Comes back to the dugout. Sat next to me, quiet. There's another guy on the team over there. I watched this one time. He struck out the first time. Second time he come over, about 4th inning, he struck out again. Comes back to the dugout, takes his helmet, fires it against the wall. Son of a man! Michael Jordan. I'm watching now. Michael Jordan gets up, goes over to this man, puts his arm around his back, and says, man, settle down. Settle down. You're a good player. Don't let this stuff eat you up. You get all angry at that stuff, you can't play. It's got to be inside of you. You'll be good. Talking to this guy, gets out, got a base hit the next time. I looked at it and I said, because I have interviewed Michael Jordan 2 different times. And both times, once when he came out of North Carolina, and the second time when the Chicago Bulls came in to play a game here. And every player that ever played with him, and I know a guy who played with him, Will Perdue, played from Vanderbilt, played with him. He said Michael Jordan in practice will work you down to the bone. He will not let you get away with half-stepping. He will not let you get away with anything because he demands that you be the best that you can be. And he leads. He's the first one on the practice court, and he's the last one to leave, and he gets in your face to be better, and he'll get all around you, put his arm around you. I tell people when you meet somebody, when you look at it, if you're going to be a leader, I want you to look me in the eye. I want you to see so I can connect with you because, so that's all I say to you. I say to you, you've got your senior year coming up. What are you going to be like? You're developing your character right now. Who do you run with? See, the guys that I'm with in prison who are going to get out, you know what they're afraid of? They're afraid of when they get out. And a lot of them in there for drugs. And then all for selling it, because man, you make money. Man's got a big ride coming down the street, got money in his pocket, got women, and he's in jail now. So now he's afraid. I can't tell you how many of them are afraid. I get out in a year, I get out in 6 months, and I know the same people are gonna come creeping into my life, say, hey, nice to have you back, man, look, I got a little something for you right here. Are you a follower or a leader? Do you change the culture of people? You look them in the eye and say, no, I ain't playing this anymore. I'm a leader now. That's the choices that you guys get. That's what I look for. That's what I see. I can't believe I've spent my life. I'm praying for that man that I hope the governor says when the May 10th comes and says you'll stay in jail, but you're not going to die. I don't want anybody to die for something or for a mistake. And that prison is full of guys who in 1 minute made a mistake. Come on, let's drive the car. And all of a sudden, I can't tell you. Guys, you just drive the car. You got a nice car. Come ride with it. Got out of the car, shot somebody else in the car. This guy was just, well, I was just driving. I don't care. You're in jail because you were with them. Who do you run with? Who leads you? These people here that are your coaches and your pastors are trying to help you in a way so that you talk to them when you got stuff going on. Every one of you got something going on. Got something going on at home. You don't talk about it here. You talk big. I always talk to my guys that are in prison. I said, because they're all like this, and they're talking. I said, yeah, but when you get back to your cell and you don't have to profile from anybody, then what do you like? What goes through your head? How long am I going to be here? What's my life going to be when I get out? You know, and all that sort of stuff you develop now. Great opportunity. You're going to have there's going to be a new school eventually built over here. You guys are the ones that lay the groundwork for not only football, but you lay the groundwork for this. For yourselves and for the next group of people coming after you, the kids after you. Be a leader. You walk around, walk tall, walk proud, open doors for people, be polite to women. Don't be talking smack. You know? Watch what you stuff with your video. Carry yourself like you're different and people get drawn to you. But it's gotta be a decision. You're either gonna be a follower or a leader for the rest of your life. So listen. I know your new head coach. I've known him for 30 years. I know his character. I know what he stands for. I know that he will try to make the best out of you and try to help this program. And that
But the reason I talk about all that and give you that background is the things I wanted to talk to you about today are perseverance, consistency, and then grit, and how it pertains to your football team, but even more importantly, your life, okay? And how continuing in the face of adversity, not just on the football field, but in your life, is very important. And I think perseverance to me is one of the more important and underrated character traits there are in a person. But perseverance in general, do you guys have an idea of how you see perseverance, what you think it is? How would you define it? I'll say it for you. Perseverance is a willingness to continue in the face of adversity. So it's basically putting one step in front of another, even when you don't feel like it. Getting out of bed even when you don't feel like it. And that's just not today, it's the rest of your life. Nothing comes easy. And I want everybody to know that nothing comes easy. There's nothing, no great achievement, none of your heroes have gotten to that point because it was given to them. And I always look back at Michael Jordan got cut from his middle school basketball team, right? Michael Jordan. How does that coach feel? Now, I know you guys are probably all LeBron guys, but in my mind, Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time.
Yes, sir.
But he got cut from his team. You can go through history and you'll find people that have failed over and over and over and over again. They might have failed 1,000 times, but 1,001 they succeeded. So perseverance, man, is a huge part of you having not just a successful life, but a happy life. One where you can look back and be proud of what you achieved. Because once you succeed, and once you push through, and once you turn that corner, that's what you're gonna remember. That's when you're gonna feel good. If you give up early, that's when you're gonna regret. That's when regret comes in, when you give up. Okay? You'll never regret persevering. You'll never regret pushing through. My story of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So from 1983 to 1996, we were not a playoff team. We were a losing team. And 1996, we hired a guy named head coach by the name of Tony Dungy. I don't know, you guys ever heard of Tony Dungy?
Yeah.
Okay. Now he's on TV. He's retired and he's on TV. He was the third choice to be the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First choice was Jimmy Johnson, who's also on TV as a former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins. Second choice was a guy named Steve Spurrier, who was a famous former University of Florida quarterback and head coach of the Florida Gators, and was, at that point in time, they were one of the great teams in college football. Both said no. So we fell back on this guy, Tony Dungy, who was at that time the defense coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, at the point in time, there were one or two African American coaches in the National Football League, head coaches. Tony was a successful defensive coordinator in Minnesota, a team that had won consistently. He had interviewed for multiple jobs, but had been turned down every time. He had several interviews, and Tony was a different guy. He was a different kind of coach. He was a man of high character. Not that all coaches don't have high character. But he was also consistent, quiet. At the time, everybody was looking for somebody with energy, that they perceived as having energy. They wanted a guy, there's a famous coach from the Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi. They wanted Vince Lombardi. They wanted this guy, Bill Parcells. They wanted Jimmy Johnson. They wanted those outwardly aggressive coaches. And so Tony continually was turned down. Owners didn't think he was tough enough. Owners didn't think he had enough energy. Owners didn't think he was smart enough. Okay, all those times he continued to get turned down, and he continued to go interview. He was the third choice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Third choice, but he got the job. His perseverance and his persistence got him that job. He easily could have given up. He easily could have said, I don't want to be the third choice. I want to be the first choice. But he took that job. In 1996, we started the season 0-5. We've been 7-9 before. A lot of negative talk. We finally won one game. I think it was against Minnesota, his old team. I don't know if they let us have it or not. But then we were 1-8, finished 6-10. Now, if you can imagine, if you haven't been to the playoffs in 13 years or so, the negativity that surrounded that building and that city toward the team. We finished strong. In 1997, we opened the season by beating Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and the 49ers at home. And we took off and we went to the playoffs for the first time. My point is, we had to persevere through some hard times. Tony had to persevere through some hard times. A big part of perseverance, and this is what I tell my boys, okay, and what I tell you, is consistency. It's being the same every day. See, what those owners didn't know about Coach Dungy was, he was the same every day. He led through consistency. There was never a roller coaster ride. He would lose 2, 3 in a row. The press would be all over him and want him to make some grand speech, and he would always say, you know, we're gonna get back to fundamentals. Get back to doing the little things right, and we'll be okay. And we would always come out of it, always win, always go to the playoffs during his tenure. I guess one of my points there is consistency, a huge part of perseverance. Every day being the same. Because you know what, if you're the same, if you're a leader of this football team, and the younger guys see you being the same every day, when you speak, they're gonna listen. See, when Tony spoke, everybody listened. I was in many meetings with him where he never raised his voice, not one time. I don't ever remember him raising his voice. I never remember him cursing. During that day and time, that was standard procedure. Never saw him do it, never heard him do it. But the respect he had from his players for his consistency, and because they knew what they were gonna get every day from Coach Dungy. They responded. And for you guys, that consistency of your leadership with this team and how you handle ups and downs, because football is a game of ups and downs. Football is a game of the highest highs and the lowest lows. Okay? How are you gonna handle those highest highs and lowest lows? What are the younger players gonna see from you? Not only that, take that to your life. The ups and downs of life. Strive to stay consistent. Strive to be the same every day. Strive to be somebody people can count on. Let me tell you, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody deals with something. Even the person you look at and think, man, they got it made. Promise you, they're either dealing with something or they've dealt with something. How do you handle those things? What do people see in you when you're going through those things? And that's where you build respect on this football team, in the school, in your life in general. It's being consistent. They know what they're gonna get from you guys. Young players know, the coach knows. Every coach, man, coaches have to trust you to play. You know, and your teammates have to trust you if you're gonna be a leader. I've been in many team meetings. I've seen guys get up and give glorious speeches and nobody listened. I've also seen those guys that rarely speak get up and talk at a moment of adversity and everybody listened because they're consistent. They were respected. They were respected for the way they treated people. They were respected for the way they handled adversity, the way they handled success, the way they prepared for their games, the way they worked. You know, you can lead different ways. The leading by example makes it much easier to lead vocally. If you don't set the example, then the leading vocally will just, you guys know that, will just go in one ear and out the other. Build that trust by being consistent. And then the other thing I was going to tell you is you have to have, there's a lot of talk of a character trait called grit. You have to have grit. At the Atlanta Falcons, we have a grit scale, okay? And we call it competes plus toughness equal grit. We have 10 components of that scale. There's 3 of them are consistency, perseverance, and how you handle adversity. We preach that, we live that. We grade our players on that grit scale. So it's not just talent. And let me tell you, I've drafted players that were very talented that failed. I've seen many players that weren't as talented that succeeded because they had grit. They were consistent. they persevered. When they walked out to the practice field, they were prepared. In life, they were prepared. And those guys succeeded after football, many of them.
Just to give you a little bit of background, and then, you know, I know that this is about leadership and that kind of thing, and we'll get to that. I'm in Nike College Sports Marketing, so I work for Nike, and I have 5 people that work for me, and we're in charge of executing our all-school contracts. And when I say all-school contracts, that's University of Alabama, University of Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, Florida State, Oklahoma, Texas, all those schools wear Nike product. And when I say, you see it on TV on Saturdays when you're watching football, and you probably watch basketball, but every sport at those schools wear Nike, whether it's women's tennis, women's lacrosse, women's soccer, men's when we say all school, it's everybody at the school, all student athletes wearing our product head to toe. So we have 5 people that do this execution, and so when my boss negotiates the contract with the University of Tennessee, and they sign the deal, he hands the contract to me and says, okay, now you execute it. So we're in charge of making sure that every student athlete at Tennessee or at Alabama or Kentucky or whatever wears Nike, whether it's headbands, wristbands, shoes, apparel, uniforms, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I do. I'm in charge of executing those contracts. So it's a great job, and I'll kind of get into how I got to the point through the leadership thing. And, you know, that's the one thing I think is extremely important. And, you know, you've got, you know, with Tom and Cliff, you know, surrounding yourself with guys that are good leaders. And maybe the one thing, everybody talks about leadership, and they start talking about, well, the only guy that can be a great leader is the best player on the team. And that's not right. I always talk about leadership without accolades, or leadership with humility. And I can tell you right now, when I went to Vanderbilt and I played at Vanderbilt, I was not the best player on the team, by far. I was probably 8th or 9th man. However, I was elected team captain my junior and senior year. And it wasn't because I was the best player on the team. It had nothing to do with that. But I will tell you this, every sprint, encouragement, every time I did anything, it was 100%, 100%. So if you're not the best player on the team, you can still lead on the team, because you can encourage other guys, you can be the hardest worker on the team, be someone that even the best player looks at and goes, hey, that guy understands how to lead people. And to me, that's one of the most important things that you can do. And you can do it with humility. You know, everybody looks at it and says, hey, you know, you may not be the best running back or the best linebacker on the team or the best player on the team, but you can encourage people, you can stand by people, you can invest in other people's lives. And I said, I think that's one of the most important things. I think one of the things that I feel like I've done over the years is I try to invest in people that may not be the highest profile guy at Nike, the guy that does the customer service work for me, for all of my schools. When I go to Portland, Oregon, I grab 3 or 4 of those people and I take them to lunch and tell them how important they are. Because without them, my job becomes really, really tough. Really tough situation. So, kind of give you a little bit of a background. When I was playing at Vanderbilt, I played 4 years, graduated in '79, so I'm a really old guy. The one thing that my dad taught me when I was young was just hard work. Hard work. Don't let anybody outwork you. You may not be the best player on the team, but don't let anybody outwork you. And so when I went to Vanderbilt, that was the one thing that kind of stuck in my mind, is I'm gonna outwork everybody. And so after my sophomore year, I was like everyone else. I was like, okay, I'm gonna play basketball at Vanderbilt, and then I'm gonna go play in the NBA. So I got to about my sophomore year, and I wasn't starting. I was playing a little, and midway through my sophomore year, I realized, you know what? I don't think this NBA thing's gonna work out for me. And so I set my mind on helping my team be the best team they can be through leadership, through hard work. So again, every sprint, everything that I ever did was 100% all out. So, you know, I went through my career, got to be a senior, and wasn't sure what I was gonna do. And back in the day, Cliff and Tom, you might remember this, but the SEC had one game a week on TV. It was called the SEC Game of the Week. And there was a guy named Joe Dean who was the color commentator on the SEC Game of the Week.
Stefferino.
Yep. And it wasn't like now when you have 4 games on Tuesday night, 5 games on Wednesday night, and 7 games on, it was one game. So it was my senior year, and I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. I thought I wanted to get into coaching, because I felt like I could be a good coach and a good leader in that situation. And there was a previous Converse rep, that was back in the day when Converse was the biggest basketball shoe on the market, way back before you guys were around. Chuck Taylor's. So anyway, my senior year, it's the end of the year, and I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do and all this kind of thing. And Joe Dean, who was the executive vice president of Converse at the time, did the color on the radio broadcast. And we were playing Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi. And I think there were maybe 4 games left in the season. And the way we did it is we traveled in pairs. So we played it up in Oxford against Ole Miss, and then we went to LSU on that following Monday. So Joe Dean, we were in the airport in Memphis, Tennessee, and he went to my head coach and he said, I need to hire somebody to be the sports marketing and sales rep for Converse here in the next 3 to 4 months. I need to know who the hardest worker on your team is. And so the previous Converse rep was a college All-American, great player. And he just didn't do his job. So he went to my head coach and he said, I don't care who it is, I just want the guy that's your hardest worker. And he said, hands down, it's Tim. A month from that point, he called and asked me if I wanted to work for Converse. I didn't even have to interview. I mean, literally, it just was in my, and the only reason that happened, was what my dad told me in high school and when I came to Nashville, Tennessee to play for Vanderbilt. It was to work hard, be a leader, put yourself in a situation where your teammates, everyone around you thinks, hey, if whoever's gonna be the hardest worker on the team, everybody would point to you. Everybody pointed to me when I was, and again, I was not the best player, but I was the hardest worker. And I think that's one of the things that can make a difference in leadership as well, is that you can set an example for other kids. You can be an encourager for other kids. And it doesn't make any difference whether if you're encouraging the best player on the team in Charles Davis, or whether you're encouraging a walk-on the team with encouragement. Get involved in their lives. Understand what makes them tick. If they're having a bad day, be one of the guys that encourages them. And I think all of a sudden you look up and now the best player on the team or the walk-on the team looks at you as somebody that this guy really cares about me. And now all of a sudden you're viewed in a completely different light than just one of the guys on the team. And that makes a huge difference. And then the other thing too is as you get older, and even now, is surround yourself with successful people. Surround yourself with successful people. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're around people that are gonna bring you down. That's the worst, especially at you guys' ages. You know, one guy, one female, one person that is not gonna be good for your long-term future can put you in a situation where you really, really are put in a detrimental position. And that you gotta think about that all the time. You gotta think about it now, at age 17, probably all you guys are 17, right? And we gotta think about it now. I'm 62. Cliff, you're what,
53.
50, Tom, you're 57.
73.
73. How old are you?
17.
17. It doesn't make any difference. At 62, 57, we still have to put ourselves in a situation where we surround ourselves with successful people and don't put ourselves in a situation where, you know, all you gotta do is look at what's happening right now in this FBI NCAA thing. Have you guys been keeping up with that? I mean, you think that you're not doing anything wrong, and now you got guys, assistant coaches, guys that are gonna be going to prison from anywhere from 6 months to potentially 2 to 3 years. You know, you gotta guard your mind, you gotta guard your heart, you gotta surround yourself with people that are gonna make you better. And that's one of the most important things. And here's the other thing, is surround yourself with godly men. And I know about him, and I know about you, I know about him. This right here, what's happening in this room right here, is just the building block for what's gonna happen 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now. And you guys are the start of it. You guys now are gonna be the upcoming seniors that are gonna influence the kids that are, whether sophomores, do you guys have freshmen here?
Freshmen too, yes.
Okay, so freshmen, sophomores, juniors, you guys are gonna be the kind of the foundation and the building block as Coach Moore and Cliff and everyone builds this team. And you know what, the wins and the losses, they'll come and go, but the foundation that you're gonna build with those young kids that you're gonna influence as they come up in 4 years from now, I'm sure there's gonna be a couple kids that, you know, that are juniors now. Well, you guys will be seniors, I'm saying sophomores now, ninth graders, that are gonna look at you guys and say, hey, these guys were influences all my life. And to me, that's one of the most important things that you can do in your life, is have a positive influence on younger kids. And they look at you as somebody who they look up to and say, hey, you know, this guy was an influence on me when I was a ninth grader or a sophomore. And now all of a sudden, you know, as you become young men, influencers in your community, as you get out, go to college, that kind of thing, it makes all the difference in the world. And again, the guys that are sitting kind of on the outside right here are the people that you need to look up to, you need to respect, and listen to what they say, because it's really, really important in your growth as a student athlete. And you know, who knows? I don't know if there's anybody at this table that's going to play college football or college basketball or whatever, but the people around the table right here are influencing you for life, and that's the most important thing. So again, I just want to tell you that you guys can be leaders, you guys can be influencers, even though you're not the best player on the team. You got to understand that.